What's up everyone? Today we're going to go over how to clean the mass airflow sensor on a 2011 Nissan Sentra. I'm doing this because a couple of days ago my car started throwing a check engine light code, and I looked it up online, and the P0101 code is a mass airflow code, so it could be due to a dirty mass airflow sensor, or it could be due to some leaks on the intake side. So I'm just going to go over and check all those things today to see if I can get the issue fixed. The code is permanent as well. I need to do a little more research on that. Normally you can just delete the codes or disconnect the battery, but supposedly these codes are a little more difficult to get rid of, so I'm still trying to look into that. But I'm going to go ahead and address the issue by cleaning the sensor today and see if I can find anything else wrong with it. So that's what we're going to be doing. So before disconnecting any sensors or anything, I always start off by disconnecting the battery terminal. You don't want any static or anything damaging any of the electrical components. So whenever you're removing sensors, just make sure you unplug the battery. I'll just undo the negative terminal there. Stick it out of the way. I'm also going to wipe up anywhere around the sensor because it recently rained. I don't want any moisture or anything getting in the intake tube or on the sensor, or any dust. So the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to disconnect the MAF sensor connector right here. For this car, there's a little tab here. You just pull back on it, and it should just slide off real easily, and you can set that off to the side. Now, to take off the actual sensor, you're going to need to use a Phillips screwdriver and undo the two screws. And with the screws out, you should be able to lift the sensor out, take it out, and make sure that you don't tap this on anything where it might get dirty or you might get any dust on it, because you really want to try and keep this clean. Alright guys, so here's the sensor. Just looking at it, it looks like it's pretty clean. I don't see very much dirt on it, but we're going to go ahead and clean it here in a second. Now to clean the sensor, I'm using some of this CRC mass airflow sensor cleaner. According to the directions, you just want to spray it 10 to 15 times around the sensor. You want to make sure you don't touch the actual sensor part with your hand. You don't want to get any oils or anything on it. And you're going to want to let that sit for a good 30 minutes to an hour or so to give it time to dry. And then once it's dry, we can actually install it back in the vehicle. Alright, and while that's drying, you're going to want to go ahead and inspect the intake just to see if there's any leaks anywhere, somewhere where air might be getting in before or after the sensor, because that could also dirty up the sensor or throw some codes. So you just want to inspect your tubing, just make sure there isn't any leaks. I've got this aftermarket engine intake here, but the stock Sentra, the airbox is going to be a little bit different, but you just want to go along and make sure that there's no leaks anywhere. So this connector looks good, not seeing any cracks or any tears yet. The filter for this car is actually going to be down there near the bumper. It's difficult to get in there, but I'm going to try and peer through the grill here in a minute just to make sure all the connections look good. You might be able to peek inside the mass airflow hole to see if there's any dust or dirt or anything. I don't see anything in there. Alright everyone, so I think I found the issue that's giving me the mass airflow code. I originally thought it was the sensor, but upon inspection, I kind of found here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a fairly sizable crack here on the hose between the sensor and the throttle body. So that's definitely going to need to be replaced, because I know when I spoke to a Nissan technician last, they had said that my throttle body was pretty dirty, so they ended up cleaning it, but I don't know how they didn't catch that crack. So definitely going to need to replace that hose, otherwise dirt can be getting into the engine, and that's definitely not good. So I'm going to have to go ahead and order a new part and probably clean the throttle body up as well. Alright guys, so what I've done is I've thrown some tape on to temporarily seal that hose to prevent any dirt from getting in the engine so I can drive it around for a couple more days. So I'll probably place in an order for replacement hose here later today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw the mass airflow sensor back in, and then if you stay tuned here in a future video, I'll show how to replace that hose.